My name is Ada, and this is the story I wish I could forget, a tale of desperation, deceit, and survival that still haunts me. In 2020, I moved to Ibadan, Nigeria, to escape the heartbreak of a 4-year relationship that ended in betrayal. My older sister, Kaameka, was studying at the University of Ibadan and lived in Agboro, close to the school. She offered to share her small apartment with me while I figured out my next steps. Ibadan was like stepping into a different world. The sprawling city hummed with life, but Agboro had its own charm, bustling streets filled with students, food vendors selling smoky suya and akara, and the occasional hum of okadas weaving through traffic. For the first time in a long time, I felt the stirrings of hope. But loneliness has a way of creeping in, even in a crowded place. Kaameka was often buried in her studies, and I spent most of my days alone in her cramped apartment, scrolling through social media and questioning where my life had gone wrong. The emptiness gnawed at me, and I yearned for companionship, someone to make me feel seen again. One evening, after weeks of battling my solitude, I made a decision that felt reckless but necessary. I downloaded a dating app. Desperate times, I muttered to myself as I hesitated over my profile picture. My heart thudded as I hit create account, unsure of what I was even looking for. The app was overwhelming, picture after picture of men striking poses, flashing grins, or bragging about their interest. Amidst the chaos, one profile caught my eye, Caleb. He was different, no over-the-top displays or flashy bios. Just a simple smile and a description that hinted at warmth and humor. We matched almost instantly, and his first message wasn't the cliché, "Hi, beautiful." Instead, he asked about my favorite places in Ibadan, a thoughtful question that broke the ice. Over the next few days, Caleb and I talked constantly. He was funny, charming, and full of stories about his life in Akubo, a quieter part of the city. When he suggested we meet in person, I hesitated. But his kindness felt genuine, and I was tired of second-guessing myself. Our first date was unforgettable. Caleb took me to a small restaurant in Bodija, where the air was filled with the aroma of pepper soup and sizzling plantains. We talked for hours, laughing like old friends. He had an infectious energy that drew me in, and for the first time in months, I felt like the weight of my past was lifting. By our third date, I was smitten. Caleb seemed like everything my ex wasn't: kind, attentive, and sincere. So when he invited me to his house in Akubo for dinner, I didn't think twice. Caleb's home was tucked away in a quiet corner of Akubo, surrounded by towering mango trees and narrow dirt roads. The house itself was modest but welcoming, with simple furniture and warm lighting. Dinner was perfect, delicious jollof rice, laughter, and a little too much wine. As the night wore on, Caleb suggested I stay over since it was late, and I reluctantly agreed. I fell asleep on the couch, lulled by the wine and the warmth of the evening. That was when the nightmare began. In my dream, the house transformed. The cozy atmosphere was replaced with darkness, the walls peeling and the air heavy with dread. A stunning woman appeared in the doorway, her dark skin radiant despite the dim light. Her piercing eyes locked onto mine, and a chill ran down my spine. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice trembling. "I should ask you the same," she said, her voice sharp and accusing. "This is my house. That man you're with, he's my husband." My stomach twisted. "I didn't know," I stammered. "I swear, I didn't know." Her gaze softened momentarily before she whispered, "You need to leave. Now." Before I could move, Caleb appeared, but he wasn't the man I knew. His face was cold, his eyes filled with something dark and menacing. "She's lying," he spat. "She's not my wife. Those kids aren't mine." It was then I noticed them, children, everywhere. They darted through the room, their laughter echoing unnaturally. "Go now," the woman urged, her voice trembling. But before I could move, Caleb pulled a knife from behind his back. I froze as he lunged at her, the blade sinking into her chest. Blood sprayed across the room, and the children's laughter turned into haunting screams. I stumbled back, heart pounding, and ran toward the bedroom, desperate to escape. But she was there again, the woman, her white dress now soaked in blood, her eyes blazing with fury. "Please," I begged, tears streaming down my face. "I didn't know. Let me go." She didn't speak, just stared at me with a look that made my skin crawl. I screamed and woke up. My breath came in ragged gasps as I tried to steady myself. Caleb was beside me, fast asleep on the couch. I shook him awake, recounting the nightmare in a trembling voice. He listened, his brow furrowing. "It's just a dream, Ada," he said softly. "I'm not married, and I definitely don't have kids. You're safe with me." His words should have been reassuring, but the unease lingered. Somehow, I managed to fall asleep again. But then, I woke to something far worse. Caleb's hand was around my throat, pressing down hard. His eyes were closed, his breathing steady, as if he were still asleep. Panic surged through me as I clawed at his hand, gasping his name. It felt like forever before he let go, his eyes snapping open in confusion. "Ada, I'm so sorry," he stammered, backing away. I don't know what came over me. I couldn't speak, too weak and terrified. The rest of the night passed in silence as I sat upright, unable to close my eyes again. At dawn, I grabbed my things and left without a word. As I sped away from Akubo, one question haunted me: who was Caleb really? And what was he hiding?